podium once already today in Cadet Honda. He goes on the outside of row number 8. Then it is the Pullman Racing, number 43 of Oliver Denny, and the number 70 of Aston Miller on row 9. Harley Keeble and Charlie Walsh on row 10. Max Barrow and Vinnie Phillips, row 11. Harry Burgoyne Jr. and Max Dodds on row 12. Archie Kitching and Bradley Beavers on row 13. And the final 4 rows, Jay Holtby, Aaron Walker, Luca Benest, Oliver Wright, Alfie Briggs, and then from Morocco, Sophia Zanfari, whose brother Suleiman has just finished 9th in the OK Junior race. From Hong Kong, Shuai Yuan, and rounding out the field, the new gen motorsport driver, Bart Harrison. The winner, there are prize money for the top 10. The winner takes home £500 cash, the Oculus Rift virtual reality system. Second and third, there's Samsung 40-inch TV screens, £350 for second place, all the way down to £50 for finishing 10th. The money is irrelevant. The TVs could well be on eBay by Monday morning. The GP plate will remain on the office wall for a long, long time, because they can say, see that there? I won that, and Lewis Hamilton won that as well. And you mark my words, they don't, because we sit and wait. This is the moment that the drivers just have to themselves. The mechanics who have worked with them can do no more. Apart from double check, did I tighten that wheel? But we saw the other cadet class, the Cadet Honda class, that went down to the final couple of meters. There goes Kev Robinson's horn. Gotta control that. And Kev Robinson blowing off before the start of every race just to get himself in the mood. And we sit and wait. Lindblad, Barnard, then Irfan and Dunn. The double will not be done because we have had Oliver Behrman win the Cadet Honda race, so the double duty drivers in this class, well, one GB plate will be more than enough. As we look down, the mechanics just waiting to fire the karts up, and off they go. "34 drivers set off on their rolling lap. What awaits us over the next 15 minutes? Down towards the first hairpin. So the pictures, the only thing that these pictures that you're seeing on the screens from Telemundi Media cannot convey is the tension, because all these drivers know that the majority of them, they race for either the Super 1 British Karting Championship, the Green Man Championship, or their various club events up and down the country week after week. But they all know they have one chance a year. One chance. For some of these cadets, it's their last chance to put their name on a trophy that their heroes have got their names on. And that's Hamilton, Dolby, Rowland, Lance Lamb, Albon, George Russell, drivers that they look up to. And this is it. Lights are out. We're racing through the Bruno Ferrari chicane. 34 karts go in. 34 karts come out onto the banking. So we have start as they go over turn 4. A few drivers running wide, but it's a great start from Arvid Lindblad, who locks it up a little bit under braking for the first hairpin. Lindblad, Barnard, Dunn and Irfan, and then for 5th place on back, they're 3 wide, and round the outside of them all comes Josh Rowledge in the Tony Kart, but on a spin there, and oh my goodness me, and there's a crash. There was a problem for a few drivers, and the now that is the, well, obviously the spectators here have seen, and you can see on the screens that there is an accident and the red flags are out. So the first time all week the red flags are out, and what we will do, we will bring the karts to a standstill now, because this is being simulcast obviously live here at the circuit, as well as via the internet across the world. We will treat this with the facts. There has been an accident coming out of the second hairpin. 3 or 4 karts. Number 21 was spun around, and that was Archie Mason. Then I think number 44 clipped him and ended up facing the wrong way down the track. That's William McIntyre. Then the number 87 of Vinnie Phillips went into that, and Vinnie Phillips' kart went over, and the medical team are on the scene. The ambulance and paramedics are there, and we will say no more about that. The rest of the field have stopped, but obviously now this is where, and for those of you that are watching the, those of you that are watching the drivers' parade, Matatora Wada, who is out there on the banking, who had an accident here last month and was quite seriously injured. He wanted to speak to everybody to say thank you to the marshalling team and the medical staff, because people are thinking, oh, how much do the marshals pay you to say they're the best in the country? Well, nothing. The fact is they are, and they are with the driver, the medical team are with the driver. We're obviously not going to show you the fact that the medical team are with a driver, and as soon as I can tell you something definitive, I will, and until then, I won't. So, the grandstand watching, and of course, everybody comes to karting and they know the risks. They know that motorsport can be dangerous, just in the same way that any other sport can be dangerous. These are the most skillful drivers that there are, and the rest of the drivers will now, and you have to remember that we spoke to these drivers, a lot of them, during the drivers' parade, and you saw that they were joking around, and some of them were a little bit more confident on the microphone than others, and some had a bit of banter, and some were just a bit more shy. But the cadets that you're looking at now, they are 9, some of them are 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. And they know that they're being filmed, and they know that it's going around the world, and that people will look at YouTube and they will watch it. And they are standing directly opposite the drivers' parade, a grandstand full of friends, families, their teams, the mechanics, who are probably all giving them grief about, oh, I wonder if Henry's going to ask you a question, what are you going to say? And yet, they speak eloquently, apart from Freddie Spindlow, who admits that his team manager beats him, which is not true, before people start phoning the RSPCA. He just kicks them occasionally. But they speak with such eloquence and such professionalism because they are athletes. They may be school kids, but they're athletes, and now they are all standing there. Some of them have just missed a crash that has resulted in, one driver just, don't know if he's hurt or not, but he's being attended to. They have just missed it. They've seen, they know that could easily have been them. A kart in the middle of the track facing the wrong way, and 20 karts behind having to react a split second. And it is a split-second reaction that all these drivers have to do, and that's why they do it, and that's what makes them so good. And what other sport with the kids has that sort of pressure? And the answer is no. Name me another sport for 10-year-olds that's broadcast around the world. No. And what if you've got kids at home and they're 8, 9, 10? What would they do if you told them, by the way, this guy's going to ask you a question and you're going to have to answer it and talk for a few seconds or a minute, and it's going to go show around the world. Okay, you all right with that? And they're going to go, oh, no. But these guys don't. They know, because they're athletes, and they're assembling their karts back in the correct order, because the race will be restarted. The officials will decide whether it was the first lap or we have a full restart in the original grid positions. And there are rules about what happens, and I can tell you that Vinnie Phillips is on his feet. He's waving to the crowd who are applauding, and significantly now the marshals and the staff will go and tell them. They'll see Vinnie going around the ambulance. He's not allowed to restart, because I guarantee you the first thing that he says is, Dad, is the kart okay? And the answer is, it doesn't matter if the kart's okay. We've seen his mechanic Jess Hawkins wander off with the kart. The kart is not running at the time the red flag is called, and so Mr. Phillips, who was there and just there, he walks back breathing a sigh of relief, because of course, we joke about the professionals and the expense and being in big teams and stuff like that. And the bottom line is that the only thing that's important is the driver. The rest is just metal or plastic. And so the drivers who are left, and of course if your kart wasn't running, and I'm not sure if William McIntyre, I think he had sustained some pretty significant damage. Vinnie Phillips, despite his protestations, will not be allowed to restart. Because the thing is, though, you give them the opportunity. If you ask him, can I go again? He'll say, yes, please. We will now have the restart, and you can see there's Kev Robinson in the middle of that. He's putting the drivers back in their order, and we'll forget about that. Vinny's all right. Looked a bit scary. There's a few mums that have just gone to the bar to turn their double wine spritzer into a quadruple wine spritzer to calm themselves before their sons and daughters go back out and do it all again. And so the mechanics now will be who are waiting to come out to tend to the karts. They're not allowed to obviously change any on the karts, but they do need to restart the karts. And here they go. Oh, bright trainers there. Oh, look at that bright luminous yellow. That's a get your dabbers out if you're playing kart mechanic bingo. Lots of shorts, all above the knee. Lots of logos. Is there any aprons? And I'm sure that some of those, they're all tight t-shirts, Not allowed to have baggy t-shirts. We'll check the radios. If you have a look, the earpieces are in. They're on the, there's radio back on the back. Oh, there's an M Sport mechanic there who's got a pair of trousers on. He's letting the side down. Almost looks like a hard-working man. And the aprons, and of course, we can't check for the kart mechanic tan, although I'm sure that, in fact, actually, there's Nigel Edwards just probably conversing with Craig Boyd to say, we've got a tan there, I'm going to put it on my clipboard and tell you. So, right now, we've got to try and get the ambulance through the grid without running any more of them over. And ambulance goes back, and I have to say that that is the first red flag, the first appearance of the ambulance all week. Let's hope it's the last. But there was a time where the ambulance did more laps than some of the drivers. But that's a long time ago, and like Rick Collard said, there's a driver that drove through that period and said he couldn't believe how much better and cleaner the racing is. And of course there is still bumping and barging, and I'm sure there's a few people that will take to social media to say, oh, but the bottom line is we've had 57, this is the 57th race we've had, and this is the first time we've had to stop it on the opening lap. Generally, it is a generalisation, it's been very good. And I'm sure that it will continue to be very good, and especially now the drivers will have taken that out of their mind. It'll be a case of, right, let's go and do exactly what we were going to do before. Nothing's changed. They've lined up, and we're going to start again very, very shortly. So, the engines are being refired. All karts are still racing. Successfully managed to make their way around. The mechanics have to vacate the premises. Take their aprons and their shiny trainers and their kart mechanic hands back to a place where they can stand and pretend not to signal to their drivers, not really allowed to, but then they do. Here's number 40. So William McIntyre is in the race, and now we start again. Arvid Lindblad from pole position takes the lead under the bridge. McIntyre at the back. He had made it as far as Parc Fermé, or the entrance to. And there are strict rules about that, which would have been enforced, I'm not sure. Off turn number 4. 1 or 2 drivers at the back. And without Vinnie Phillips, the remaining 33 take their places through the first hairpin, and a little bit of number 43, Oliver Denny, over the grass into the second hairpin. Now this is where it concertinated together the time before. It's just as aggressive, just as close, and everyone gets through. McIntyre has caught the back of the pack and he's already started picking them off. He's past Shua Yuan, the Hong Kong-based driver. Up at the front though, it is a new leader. Taylor Barnard, the O-plate winner from Arvid Lindblad. Then Alex Dunn. So, Barnard getting the warning flag. Behind the top 3, Rashan Chigarimbo in 4th, and Josh Rowledge in 5th. Then it is Koskan Irfan, Sam Shaw, Freddie Slater, Oliver Gray, Archie Mace. Well, if there's one driver breathing a huge sigh of relief, it's Archie Mace. It was Archie Mace that was turned around in the first start that kicked that off, but of course Mace was able to get going again without sustaining any damage, or without sustaining too much damage, because obviously that kart has been hit by another one. But Mace, the privateer, now settles into the top 10 in the number 21 kart. Behind the leaders. The leader is Barnard, then it's Lindblad and Dunn. Then a gap back to Rowledge, Chigarimbo, Irfan, Slater, and the rest. 33 drivers. With the number 47, Alfie Briggs, and the number 22, that's Sophia Zanfari, just at the back. And there's Rowledge, under pressure from Irfan. Top 3 have broken clear. Barnard, Lindblad and Dunn. A gap of 1.1 seconds to Rowledge. Rowledge has got now Chigarimbo and Irfan. We'll have to help him. 12.5 minutes to go. Skies still cloudy, but the threat of rain not there. There's Lindblad Draws up to the rear bumper of Taylor Barnard. So we have Barnard, who tried to defend his title last year. Ended up starting stone last in the final, came through to 8th. But he actually, I believe, led briefly in his bid to become the first. And he is still trying to become the first. Quite often in cadets, you win an event like this when you're at the most experienced level, and it's your last season, then you move on the next year. Barnard won it in a typically frantic event back in 2015 when he was still relatively inexperienced. It just goes to show that you would think, well, it's a long way to go yet. Arvid Lindblad is pushing Taylor Barnard along. Lindblad, 68K. There's everything goes flashing through your screens. Down towards hairpin number 1. Alex Dunn in 3rd place. The Irishman from Primo Racing from Clonagh He has got a bit of work to do, and there's a bigger gap developing. Koskan Irfan in the 36 is actually now 1.5 seconds behind Dunn in 3rd, and Dunn is nearly a full second behind Barnard and Lindblad. Well, Taylor Barnard, current British Championship leader, current Little Green Man Championship leader, British Open champion of 2017. Again, the number 23, Arvid Lindblad, 2nd full season in the Kart, 6th in the British Championship at the moment, 3rd in the Little Green Man, for a new team, the Ollie Rowland Motorsport team, and he is the only Ollie Rowland Motorsport driver here. So he has no teammates to help either. This says the Synergy chassis, but then I've seen Dan Parker and his Zip logos wandering around, so I'm not quite sure what the deal is there. Doesn't matter right now. All that matters is that Taylor Barnard on the Synergy chassis leads the race. Looking at coming through the Mike Wilson complex. That is the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th. Irfan in the 36, being chased by Rowledge. And then Rashan Chigarimbo for Eclipse Motorsport. Under the bridge they go. Again, these 2-stroke IAME engines churning out well over 50 miles an hour. Lindblad with a 67.86. That bodes well for his chances of engaging in a one-on-one battle with Barnard. Dunn has got no help from behind. He cannot draft up to 2 karts working together all on his own. The short shoot, Rowledge trying to push Irfan up to Dunn. Behind them, Slater is 7th. Half a second down on Chigarimbo, who's 6th. Field very spread out, like we saw in Cadet Honda. Barnard and Lindblad nearly 2 seconds in front of Alex Dunn now. Dunn is falling back into the clutches of Irfan, Rowledge, then Chigarimbo. Behind Chigarimbo is the 77 Fusion kart of Freddie Slater, then Oliver Gray. Followed by Sam Shaw and Aston Miller in 10th place. Rounding out the top 10, the 2 leaders come down the hill. 2.2 seconds now, the gap between the top 2 and Dunn in 3rd. And the ORM team will just be giving the classic mechanics and just pointing towards the top. Think. Marvin Lindblad, who, whenever you ask him a question, forget he's 9-10 years old, because you think you're speaking to a professional, that he's confident but not cocky, eloquent without being overbearing and just determined when he said, because that's where I want to be, or that's where I'm going, when we talk about having a GP2 driver as a team boss. Yeah, it's good because that's what I'm going to do. Not in an arrogant way, in a matter of fact, I know the plan well. Under the Litchfield Bridge. On lap number 8, 7 minutes to go. So we are just over half distance now of this MSA Cadet, MSA British Kart Masters Grand Prix final. And the field going through the banking into turn 3. There's the number 45 of Jake Weston going through, and Weston in the Strawberry Racing Tony Kart is 13th at the moment, behind Archie Mace. So Mace, the independent driver, is 12th and obviously suffering no ill effects from that earlier incident. He's got the E-plate holder in front of him. That is, there's Chigarimbo going through the Fullerton S's behind Slater. So Freddie Slater now up into 6th, Rashan Chigarimbo. I think this is the time where you can say, Rashan, you've got a lovely graphics kit there that you said you wanted to keep nice for the final. If you've got to push on now. You've got enough photographs of it. You've got to get up there and put yourself in a position where you can potentially get on the podium. I say podium because unless Arvid Lindblad starts battling with Taylor Barnard, or unless Barnard starts to decide to defend too soon, Alex Dunn is not going to make up 2.6 seconds, even if he had the rest of the field pushing him along, because Irfan has caught Dunn as they head up towards the second hairpin. So Irfan in the 36, going through the second hairpin there now. He's going to try and push Dunn, but he's going to try and push Dunn, not up to the leaders, what he wants to, but you probably realise, no, let's just get away from Rowledge in 5th, so we can battle for the 3rd place. Slater 6th, Chigarimbo 7th, then Shaw 8th, Gray 9th, and Miller 10th. Behind the top 10, Luke Watt, global karting E-plate holder. He runs in 11th place. There is Barnard, head down, and you can see that Lindblad is not pushing Mace. He's not quick enough, he's not close enough to push Mace. He's just staying in the slipstream, and that means that Lindblad cannot put a wheel wrong. If he was getting up to the rear bumper of the O-plate kart, down these straights here, down the hill towards it, to say that he was comfortable. The fact that he can't, even though Taylor Barnard is creating the draft that we have seen so many drivers use in every single class, Lindblad can't get untouched, which means that if he does make a mistake, then he may not catch Barnard back up. It is Dunn holding on to 3rd. Irfan is right behind him. Now the gap has stabilised. 4 minutes to go, 2.6 seconds the gap. Rowledge still 5th, Chigarimbo and Slater 6th and 7th. Then it's Shaw. We've got 33 drivers still running. Luca Badest, the Jerseyman from the Channel Islands, is in 33rd. Sophia Zanfari from Morocco is 32nd. Aidan Neat has had a problem. He's down in 31st. Shua Yuan from Hong Kong is 30th. Then it's Bart Harrison, 29th. Alfie Briggs still learning his craft with the Jack Tex Racing team. He's 28th. Jay Holtby 27th. Max Barrow 26th. Aaron Walker 25th. 24th for Harry Burgoyne Jr. and Oliver Wright 23rd. Archie Kitchen is 22nd, and just outside the top 20 is Harley Keeble with Charlie Walsh running in 20th place. Max Dodds is 16th. William McIntyre has made it up to 14th. He started at the back with a damaged kart. The leading privateer is now the number 70 kart of Aston Miller. So Aston Miller, well, he's with Next Gen in one class, says the privateer. I'm not to dispute that. He's 10th, and then it's Archie Mays 12th. So 2 privateer drivers in the top 12. 2.5 minutes to go. There is Freddie Slater on your screens, and he is being caught by, well, he's got Chigarimbo with him, but he's been caught by the number 16 Eclipse kart of Samuel Shaw and the number 63 Primo Racing kart of Oliver Gray. There's Lindblad flashing through the screen. There is Dunn and Irfan. The gap, 2.5 seconds. So it hasn't shrunk by much. It hasn't shrunk by enough. And you can see Barnard inching away from Arvid Lindblad. So Arvid, who's got one in Swedish house mafia because he is part Swedish and I'm not sure which part. The left or the right. But he is starting to drop back. There's Irfan, Koskan Irfan, another one of the youngsters who, one of the younger cadet drivers. We're going to see Koskan in a cadet for several years to come. I think that the words Irfan and Lindblad in the same sentence will be a common phrase used by commentators like me in the next couple of years in cadets, because they are still relatively young in terms of even a cadet. They're all relatively young. But Taylor Barnard, with 1 minute to go, Barnard extends his advantage to 0.8 of a second. Are we about to see Kart Masters history? Are we about to see the first driver ever to win 2 MSA Cadet GP plates? Because if Barnard looks back and thinks, you know what, that last lap of 2015, I got a bit of good luck there. You've got to make your own luck to some extent, but I got a bit lucky. Well, there's been no luck involved here. He has dominated. And I don't think we've ever seen a Kart Masters IAME or Cadet MSA Cadet final dominated like this. Lindblad has chased him and chased him and chased him for nearly 15 minutes. They dropped Alex Dunn. They dropped 32 other drivers. Dunn and Irfan have been working together for the last 4 or 5 minutes. Really good classic cadet strip seaming from Dunn and Irfan, and it hasn't got them in the same postcode as the 2 leaders. And Barnard now, as if he has just flicked the switch, the gap grows to over a second. He has simply worn the field out. Lindblad has not put a wheel wrong. You can see him hunched down behind the NASA panel. He's still pushing and pushing and pushing. The youngster in the number 23 has not made a mistake. He has not missed an apex. And yet, Barnard has been relentless. And in a year where, as a cadet driver, you move to Fusion and you're the highest ranked driver from last season left in cadets because everyone else in the top 5 or 6 have moved up, and then you suddenly find yourself kind of sitting there with the Fusion team and everyone's thinking, oh well, you're going to be the champion this year. You've got to then go and deal with that pressure, even though you're only 12, 13 years old, and the expectation that goes with it. And many a driver has not dealt with that pressure. Don't forget, Lewis Hamilton wasn't the only person that was signed by McLaren. There was another driver, just the same highly regarded. Well, one of them handled the pressure, one of them didn't. Barnard has just driven away from the rest of the field. Dunn has to defend third. The gap is up to 2 seconds. Lindblad has, well, Arvid Lindblad is, there are only about 4 other karts within 10 seconds of Arvid Lindblad. That is how well that young man has driven, and yet he can't even see Taylor Barnard around the last couple of corners. So, for the first time in Kart Masters history, we have a 2-time MSA Cadet GP plate holder, and it is Taylor Barnard. Lindblad finishes second. What a weekend for that young man. And you saw on the TV, Dunn and Irfan inches apart. Dunn, the Irishman, completes the podium. In third place, Koskan Irfan. Well, that's 2 races, 2 strong runs. No GP plate. He finishes 4th. Josh Rowledge finishes 5th. Freddie Slater was 6th, Samuel Shaw 7th, Oliver Gray 8th, Luke Watts The E-plate hold, the English champion. We just saw Luke's dad briefly on the grandstand looking pretty pleased, and as well he might be. That's a good result for Luke. And Rashan Chigarimbo, he rounds out the top 10, and I'm looking, finished 11th last year, Rashan, 10th this year. As long as you stay in cadet till you're 23, you're going to get a GP plate. Then it is Aston Miller in 11th, William McIntyre for the back of the grid to 12th. Max Dodds finishes 13th. 14th for Oliver Denny, 15th Archie Mace. Then Bradley Beavers and Freddie Spindlow, Jake Weston, Charlie Walsh, and the top 20 completed by Harley Keeble. Archie Brown, 21st, no double podium for Archie. Archie Kitching, 22nd. At least, oh, and Archie